Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, Dhamma friends, we are going to start another sermon in this series. May everyone get settled down and give the consent with 3 times sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Attiche vidang asunyatang yadidang akasa akinchanya yatana sanyang paticcaye kattanti ti. Dear Venerable Sisters and Brothers, Dhamma friends, so far we have discussed about along 9 talks along this particular topic or particular discourse delivered by the Buddha, namely Chula Sunyatha Sutta, and whereby the Buddha is defining the meaning, his meaning about on the voidness. And Venerable Ananda is the one initiating this discussion. He come and ask the Buddha, Bhante, if I properly remembered, if I can got it correctly, and if I am asking correctly you the question, you once mentioned that you were often abiding by voidness or descending often to the voidness while you were back at your hometown in Kapilavatthu. Is it correct? Is it what you meant? Is it what the word, the literal meaning? Or have I got it correctly? Have I got it? Have I understood it properly? Then the Buddha says, yes, you have heard properly, remembered properly, understood properly, asked the proper question. Not only at that time, even now, I am abiding my voidness and often descending to the voidness. And taking this opportunity, the Buddha tried to give the meaning or maybe set of instructions to Venerable Ananda, being this is one of the basic teaching of the Buddha. We know it is very difficult to reduce the whole teaching of the Buddha to one single concept or philosophical aspect. At a time, it is being given as 4 noble truths: the truth of suffering, and truth of cause of suffering, and truth of liberation, and the way to liberation as 4 noble truths. Sometimes given it is based upon 3 signata or factors: the impermanent, suffering nature, and the non-governable nature. And sometimes it is about the discipline on the physical, verbal, and the mental deeds. Sometimes it says it's dependent origination, and sometimes it's called middle path, 8 noble aspects of the path, and sometimes it is understanding about the defilements, the desire, the hatred, and the ignorance in the mind. Many facets. Each and every one is valid concepts. And this sunyata, it come along with this anicca dukkha anatta, impermanent, suffering, and soullessness. Impermanent is changing nature, the flux. That is usually even the people, those who are specializing on the physics based upon the matter, they know. And the second thing is the suffering, that is the friction in the day-to-day life, and that is also quite obvious even though we are trying to avoid it. But the idea about this non-self or non-governable nature, that is somewhat deeper, and through the other two characters only you can get a glimpse about this soullessness character. So whenever you study, whenever you summarize or analyze or review the teachings, there are 25 ways that Buddha explain impermanent nature. And there are 10 ways he teach the suffering nature. And there are 5 ways he explain the same concept of soullessness, that is to say, anattato, tucchato, rittato, sunyato, parato. Anatta means there is no pith, no soul. Rittato, it is a vacuum. Tucchato, it is nothing worth. Sunyato, it's void. Parato, not belongs to you. So whenever someone is trying to understand the soullessness, anatta, or non-governability, sunyata, or idea or concept regarding this voidness is very crucial. Since that very understanding of non-governing nature or soullessness is complicated and difficult, understanding this voidness also difficult, because our mind is negative, our mind is repulsive to understand it. So we now in an age where it is 2600 and odd number of years after, and now we find hardly anyone talking even on this subject. So you can listen to radio talks, you can listen to TV talks and day-to-day Dhamma talks. Never, I will assure you, someone would take this even as a topic, because it is no one wish to understand, because it is been labeled as negative, labeled as nihilistic, destructive. So therefore it is considered as an unauspicious term, sunya. That may be the reason the Buddha took initiative and take this opportunity where Venerable Ananda raised this question. Then he try his best to teach Venerable Ananda what does it mean by sunyato, or the abiding by voidness. He says, as far as we are in the monastery, our thoughts, our worries, our concern and considerations are free of worldly affairs, household affairs, village affairs. So therefore it is, we are abiding by void of worldly affairs, household affairs or village matters. We matter only the forest living. So we know, due to our selection of living in the forest and appreciation of the same, and occupy the mind with this, appreciating the mind with this forest dwelling, we can do away with all the other worries, distractions and mental disturbances. So Buddha said that is what I call sunyata, voidness regarding these distractions. So when and where you concerned about only the beings in the forest living, whenever you concern only the living beings or human beings, then your worries will be confined to that beings, not the total forest living, and already you have done away with this normal worries regarding the household life. So therefore you can confine your attention to your beings, and so much so you do away with the rest of the worries. And when you are so if you can deduce out of this the teaching of the Buddha, if you reduce to your own being, here now I am, then you know where your mind is anchoring. That is my body. Here now I am sitting, here now I am walking, here now I am standing, here now I am lying down. So maybe the 4 cardinal postures or any other posture junctions, Whatever may be, as far as you are mindful, vigilant, diligent on your posture, the immediate benefit is you can do away with the rest of the worries, distractions, tension, everything on the rest of the world. So this is, the voidness is now slowly increasing. And then reduced your body or corporeality or your matter, not the whole 4 elements, but take whatever may be the element which is prominent in a given time. When and where air element prominent, and if your mind is mindful, face to face with that particular element, totally, completely, and then you know, now your worries are limited, your distractions are limited, or your applying thoughts are limited to the very air element. So much so, when you develop immediacy with the air element, due to this occupation, or rest of the whole worries, you are done away with. That is called sunya, it is void. And more you familiarize and take immediate attention or mindfulness with the air element, the Buddha, by his long practice, he knows slowly that the air element becomes thin, subtle, and if you do not distract, if you do not react, if you do not become allergic to this situation, that will lead further and further into the subtlety, and more subtlety means you find there is no solid, there is no unity within the element, but it is a flux. Just air element is flux in the huge space, and more you observe immediately and diligently, you can't avoid seeing the space. Of course, it is not a technical task, but the thing is, our mind is always allergic to see the space. It considers it as something negative, and considers antithesis. So therefore, mind is naturally pulled into the thesis, that is the air element. So when and where the air element becomes thin and thin, subtle and subtle, you become nervous, you become monotonous, you become bored, and that is why the Buddha says, along the way, abiding by voidness, now you are advancing, but your rational mind is completely going against. It is playing all the tricks and do all the juggleries not to see this void, the space, limitless space, even though it is so efficient, so prominent. So that is the place where you need repetitive application. That is what you call the bhavana. And when you keep on practicing, and your mind one day, due to your endeavorance, repetitive application, due to your faith, due to your energy, due to your mindfulness, this obvious fact will be understood. Just like in the physics, they started with matter. Ultimately, now it has come up to 150 to 200 years later. Matter is so insignificant with respect to the antimatter. The antimatter explain the majority of the phenomena, up to the 96%. Matter, if at all representing, it may be just 4%, that is insignificant. Usually in the scientific world, significant level is 5%. Matter is less than 5%. So more and more you become engaged and immediate with the observation, with the matter, ultimately you end up with emptiness or voidness. So exactly the same the Buddha mentioned, without so much of scientific education or labs and equipments, scientists found it's extrovert. The Buddha explained your own body, it's an introvert, and that became a religious, that becomes spiritual, but it's exactly the same. Science is outward and therefore endless, but the Buddha, he has taken something that you can experience under your very nose, and therefore inside it has some end. So whenever this space come into being, endless space come into being, you find just like the other fellow meditators, the mind, the rational mind, is so nauseatic. It's so allergic reactions, very difficult to accommodate. Of course, if you are armed with enough theoretical understanding or enough preparedness and enough association with that kind of advanced yogis, and if you have enough past mistakes, then definitely this all will work in a positive way. One day you to be ready to understand the antimatter amidst of matter, or akasa anancha akasa amidst of avayo dhatu, patavi dhatu, apo dhatu, tejo dhatu, amidst of any element. So when that happens, it takes longer time for you to acclimatize into that situation where not the 96% and 4% combination, at least to give 50-50 weight to the thesis and antithesis. And there, if you are not patient enough, your mind, due to the underlying tendencies, due to your rational thinking, mind come out with many projects, many creativity, many productive, so-called productive projects, and ultimately you will be carried away by these your own brainchild, and ultimately you miss the bus to study or to acquaintance, to be familiarized with the boundless space. Therefore, there may be a lot of mistakes. Never mind, if you are endeavoring, if you are continuing, it is a sure thing. Slowly you will get accustomed. Not at the beginning, it will take 35-45 minutes for you to see the subtle breath and then to the subtlest. But when and where you do your regular practice, sitting and walking, and be mindful in the other times too, soon you sit, few breaths time, you bound to see the breath is so subtle. Hardly you can feel it, but there you understand whether your mindfulness is based upon the air element or earth element, whatever may be. Now mindfulness is learning how to maintain even without any element, without any sign, without any object. And now with perception, mindfulness is now adopting, acclimatizing to without perception, without sign, without element, without shape, without manner. And this change is kind of a changing of the paradigm in your value system, and acceptance, acclimatizing. Different people take different time. It depends on number of variable factors. Whatever it may be, it is very hilariating experience. Because now you can think about throughout the evolution, humankind, or throughout your memory, in your past memory, you always expected the prosperity in materiality. And you give that message to a second generation, and your parents also pass that message to you, and you also tried your best of your time, prime time in your life, to gain enough materiality from the age 6 up to 50s maybe, studying and earning. This is the best time, prime time into your life. And you earn so much with overtime and changing your places, and despite your dear and near ones, despite your hobbies, despite your freedom, you go for, because you know the materiality is the one going to decide your prosperity. But now you understand, more and more you properly appreciate this space, limitless space, huge amount of freedom, huge amount of solitude, huge amount of contentment and satisfaction, and less and less amount of frustration, less and less amount of tension, and no burning. Instead you feel the body and mind is slowly healing. Then and there it is take time to heal, because no much of tension. Still the Buddha says there is a tension, kind of a tension, distraction, friction, in order to accommodate, in order to familiarize, in order to acclimatize this boundless space. That is because of your reflection. That is about your wrong reflection. Because when and where, even though it is so obviously leading to lack of frustration, there's a kind of a pull backward to the materiality. So imagine how many strategy, how many ways and means, how much strategies, how many time a period you need to implement that kind of a mental attitudes to your verbal attitudes, to your physical attitudes. That is, even when you are training in your mental attitude at the perception level, it is so much of friction, so much of negative feeling, so much of allergic feeling. But when and we are going to talk it, you will be definitely outcasted, thinking that something wrong in you. Because whole total world, 99.9999 depending on the materiality. No, irrespective of the east or the west, irrespective of the rich or poor, irrespective of the high caste or low caste, irrespective of the female and male, irrespective of the ordained and unordained, irrespective of the Buddhist and non-Buddhist. So it's a complete inflicting disease, contagious disease, and people call those who are thinking about voidness is in disease. That much, so much so. So therefore, if you do not mind your words, you will be easily put into an asylum telling you are eccentric. This is the world. This is the what we call relatives. This is the what we call dear and near ones. This is the what we call educated people. This is the what you call the governors, politicians, economists, socialists, and such a world. So therefore, once you internalize, once you trying to accommodate this limitless space, you have to be very, very careful in talking to the people, those who are chasing behind the prosperity, chasing behind the materialism and so much of sectarianism. And imagine when you are going to do it in the physical way, they will throw stones, they will cut your head. Because that whole world wish that if you are in the same madness, whenever you try to understand something, things as they are, they find you as a black sheep, a rebellion, going against the law. So when I was introduced in the mindfulness, I did it in a very, very light way. I never took it very seriously and keep on practicing, keeping my sense desire full intact, while breaking all the precepts one by one. I don't care. But I try to break precepts mindfully. It's a very good job, but I am not recommending you people, because you are incredible. Otherwise, it's a very good job. And that is the way Venerable Dhammika, Australian Dhammika, taught me. So one day he told, when he go back to his country in Melbourne, and at about 10 o'clock he found monasteries free, he found no shops open, so he wanted to go to the petrol shed where there is one person is there and daily needs are available there. So he thought of crossing the street. I am going to the petrol shed, walking. And the street is completely empty. People have gone in the weekday work. And he saw the municipal council vehicle is coming to collect the garbage, maybe Thursday. And so while going, the garbage truck is coming this way. He was about to cross the road, and seeing the truck, he stopped. And the truck came very fast, and the driver spit upon his head, seeing his figure. A white man gone mad, with robes. So he told that, now I understand how the society is appreciating my meditative life, my monkhood, my seeing things as they are. It's exactly what our relatives are doing to us. It's exactly what our dear and near ones are doing to us, because our seeing things as they are is a hell of a threat. First and foremost, to my own values, my own likings and disliking, to my personality or my rationality, my deductive thinking. So it's a hell of a struggle for you to get the convincing and confidence, credibility and resolution about what is happening under my own nose. And then to put into words, asking for trouble, put into words and deeds, still further questionable. So therefore, under such circumstances, if you wish to continue with this experiment, we put up place called meditation center. For normal being, it is just an asylum. Only mad people go there and they meditate, they call meditate, and poor fellows must have something to eat, and fellows must have something to sleep upon, so they come and give free of charge, because they know we are completely mad. And that is what the world is. So imagine with that kind of friction, that kind of going against the grain, still if you try to accommodate more and more of this boundless space, you understand, even though it's a successful achievement due to your proper strategy, the mind is not happy. Mind is always pulling back to the have or something rather than nothing, or thesis rather than antithesis, perception rather than no perception. So you will take enough time, so you will take long time to understand, even though scientifically or healthy manner or in a strategic way made it so obvious, but still the rational mind is completely against. It is pulling back again to the grossness, materiality, something you perceivable and feel like thesis. So much so it is cut off from the antithesis. Then again you have to listen to the Buddha. The Buddhist, this is the primordial function, the basic function of the consciousness. It divides the thesis and antithesis, perception and no perception, materiality and no materiality, and then immediately consider no materiality is wrong, antithesis destructive, nihilistic, and no perception is completely you lost, with compared to the perception is good, and instead of antithesis, thesis is good. So it not only it is dividing, soon it divided, pull back you into the materiality, thesis, perception, labeling, permanent notion. So this is how the storytelling, story making, proliferation happen in the mind. So unless otherwise the Buddha come and advise you, let the mind to entertain this boundless space as long as possible and see how the consciousness take the mean advantage and divide have and have not, and automatically pull you back to the have, unless otherwise you have preparedness, unless otherwise you have repetitive application, unless otherwise you have the theoretical understanding and your past mistakes. So when it is happening, you see the earning of boundless space is a task, yes, a great task. But undermining, so below that understanding, the consciousness is still you taking the mean advantage it and undermining the situation. All of a sudden you become suddenly conscious about something, and you don't know from where you came up. You all of a sudden hear something, or some pain happens, thought happens, and immediately you get engaged with the thought or feeling or the sound, and story construction going on. Hardly you can understand you came from non-perception to perception. You came from the space to materiality. You came from antithesis to thesis. This is the very dangerous thing for the consciousness to continue. So therefore consciousness always cover the rational, always cover the truth. That is, there may be some truth in the space, boundless space. Consciousness is never happy with that. Therefore it thinks, it calculates, come out with proposals and threatening, please come back to this and that volitional activity, this and that will, or this and that determination, this and that project. So each and everything enough to keep you occupied, taken you for a ride. And not only that, you feel the comparison between the boundless space and that so-called the project. You feel like writing books on these fresh ideas of the book, of the productivity. They appear so crispy, they appear so original. So much so you cut off from the space. You are cut off from the limitless space. So this is how it happens over the Buddha in the Chanki Sutta, in the same Majjhima Nikaya. He says when such a situation happens, people, the human, use five criterion to select when there are two, or when there is option. When there is uncertainty, the faith is the one. The Buddha says, many people think, I have the faith on the materiality, I have no faith on the space, boundless space. Of course, that is very obvious idea in the present day world. And some people says that I have a faith on the omnipotent, omnipresent God. He is a being. He is doing everything out of compassion. So they don't think about any meditation or liberation in this very life. Just have the faith on the God, no problem. So this is the way faith is working in the spirituality and in the materiality. But the Buddha says, for my understanding, two weaknesses are there. The area where you have selected as faithful may be free of truth. But you have rejected as not faithful may carry the truth. That no one can challenge. Faith is such, what you have selected as faithful and what you believe may be empty of truth. But you have rejected may carry the truth. So therefore take it as a criterion, but don't think it is an absolute total truth. It is a truth but partial. And the second thing is your likings and disliking. You select whenever the option happens, you take immediately what you like. And definitely you think this what I like is leading to my well-being, and it is prosperity of myself. So therefore you never question about your liking and disliking. You take into the grant, it's definitely for my well-being. The Buddha says that is what the world is happening, but I am going to tell you, even if you selected because of your liking, what you selected may be poisonous. Now if you selected may be completely harmful, but you rejected as not like may carry the truth, may lead to the well-being of the person. So therefore your likings and disliking also, even though it is in the implementation stage, Still the criticism is there, just like the faith. The third one is hearsay, what you have heard, what your holy book is telling, what is your teachers are telling, what is the lineage is telling. So you take it as taken granted that this is never misleading, so therefore it must be the truth, it must definitely carry the truth. But the Buddha is so open for the or charter for free thinking. He asking that everyone, what you have selected as good as in your holy book may be completely empty of the truth. What you have rejected may be completely with the truth and leading for the well-being. The fourth one he mentioned is the rationalization, deductive thinking. You being a rational thinker, you think whatever may be proved by argumenting, rationalization, carry the truth. But to reject it as or defeated in your argumentation, no truth. But the Buddha says opposite may be the one. What you proved as the truth and argued and win may be completely falsified. What you have disproved may carry the truth, may be leading to the well-being. And the fifth one is what your view. You say I am so and so, others are the wrong, they have wrong views, wrong ideas, so we are in the correct side. So therefore we developing sectarianism and killing others and distracting others and disturbing others, try to prove that why my belief is good and believe that my belief is definitely leading to well-being. But the Buddha says, just by mere believing, there is no assurance. What you believe may be completely falsified or vacuum of truth. What you not believe may carry the truth. This is the Buddha. So this is what you are one by one employing, one by one you are testing, when and where the matter and antimatter going to work. So as far as you are thinking, as far as you are based upon your decision on the likings and disliking, as far as you are you based upon your faith, as far as you are believing upon your teacher, as far as you have entertained any kind of a faith, still your decision is not lasting. So luckily in that discourse, the second person is asking Buddha, Bhante, now you are rejecting all and each and everything. You are rejecting the faith, you are rejecting the listening, you are rejecting your liking and disliking, rational thinking and belief. So then what is your thesis? How one can get liberated? Then Buddha says, anything happen, put to the next test. And that put to the next test. Go under the 5 tests. Faith. And second thing is liking and disliking. Third thing is what you heard from your holy books. Fourth thing is see whether it is rational or not. Fourth thing is see whether it is worth believing, but even then put again and again into the test. This kind of refining again and again can't stand any falsified thing, any defilement or any bad idea. So you are refining again and the same thing. Therefore, any moment you are going to say, I have arrived at so and so decision, that means you are completely bogged down. Your progress stopped. No more momentum. So what you have to do is, same way, let the limited space to come here. All of a sudden let the gross breath to appear, sounds to appear, pains to appear, anything appear. Consider when and where it happens. Don't arrive at a decision, the materiality or synthesis is good or antithesis is wrong. You let it happen, by the nature to happen. That is how you can do away with the tricks of the consciousness, and there you understand consciousness as a magician and it is play all the tricks. Otherwise, you think consciousness as your savior, consciousness as your benefactor. So much so, it is exploiting you, undermining this already earned thing in the meditation. So unless otherwise you see the circuit, the map, how the agenda of the consciousness, you based upon your decision on the partial truth and based upon the filtered factors, not the total factors. So therefore, in order to let your meditation met up with all possible combinations without rejecting anything, without giving a favoritism or anything, let the things to happen. So there you explore into nature or the phenomena in a boundless way. So unless otherwise you come up to this kind of a meditation or meditative subtlety or meditative one-pointedness, meditative, or we can say mindfulness, Buddha never recommend you to go to the forest and live a full-time meditation. You are not qualified. You can start and go to the forest and try and see. But if you wish to have a meditative life or wish to have full-time meditation, at least you have to go through these meditative layers and deep down to your own mind, and then only you will understand leading a full-time meditative life is full of adventures, full of novelty, full of challenges, and you are not answerable to any person. No. Completely you are taking your own responsibility. You run this project and that project, and you are ready to see the consequences. You know the pleasurable part of that experiment. You know the bitter side of that experimentation. Not due to the other person say like that. You know by yourself. So the Buddha, to earn this omniscient knowledge, he went through a complete range. And if you wish to see his noble quest, still in the Majjhima Nikaya, Chula Sihanada Sutta, as an ascetic, the things he has done, uncivilized, very difficult to write in a book. Such a thing he did. And ultimately, to develop the confidence, still he told, this is what I earn it. I am not telling that this person should do that and that person do that. I did myself, and now I have opened the path, so therefore nothing you have to go to the extremes. Now I have declared the middle path. But I did it, and I have my first-hand experience. So that is how I say, when and where you learn how to reduce your materiality to voidness, how to reduce your materiality to boundless space, there is one kind of a benchmark in your meditative career, and then onward you have to do the same thing with the feelings, whether pleasurable or painful, or try to see through it, get a distance from the pain or pleasure or feelings. And then hardest thing is in this sutta is taking the perception. You feel something auspicious, you feel something unauspicious, something palatable, something not palatable. The Buddha says everything is nothing but the perception. Once you change the perception, you can do anything. Unbelievable. Just like the matter. You never believe the space between the matter. It's till you see through the matter. You never believe going beyond the feelings till you see through the feeling. Exactly the way your whole dream world, you are fantasizing, you are daydreaming, mental proliferation, story talking, story making is completely on perception. Where are you brought up? What is your culture? What is your surroundings? So when and where you are traveling from one place to the other, you find whatever may be good thing in your hometown is bad thing here. Whatever the bad thing in the hometown is good here. So it's a matter of perception. And nowadays, traveling is very common. And the news transfer here and there. So therefore, one can understand the world is something rotating. There's nothing special, permanent. Each and every value is changing. Each and every notion, each and every perception is changing. So, newsmakers, information technology people, they know how to make juggleries with perception. They play hell. They can bend any truth. That is what we call the newsmakers, newsmongers. That is what do. So we are in a information technology age where the perception is become commodity. But if you do not know, you are also living in a dream put up by someone. May not be on your own dream. Whatever may be, here the Buddha says, your perception to the have and not have. Your perception to the have perception and no perception. Your perception towards the matter and antimatter. Good feeling and the bad feeling. Pleasure and the pain. So when everything put into practice, you find it is just a label. It is just the outer paint. But internal, exactly the same. So according to your own perspective, you see, therefore it says, wherever you go, there you are. What you see, that you are. Now only they are proving it in scientific way. Wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go with your own perception, and you try to fit the world to fit into your perception. Utter failure at the death. You never believe that the perception is something artificial. It is something introduced, and it is not leading to any kind of well-being, but instead you take your perception as permanent, pleasurable. It is everlasting like. So, and later, due to misunderstanding of the materiality, feelings and the perception, your crafty mind, your will, your volition never take a rest, even in the sleep, even in the dream, ever calculating to make a better world. Each and everything you do is destroying the world, destroying the nature, destroying your peace of mind, destroying your well-being. But still, you can't stop it. America very well knows the way it works. It is contributed to the global heating. And it knows this is too much in consumerization. But they can't stop it. And they are going to prove other world, the rest of the world, we are leading, and therefore please follow us. Knowing they are leading the whole nation and the environment into the danger, but still they not only doing the bad thing, and they are trying to convince the others. It's exactly what the consciousness is doing. Discriminate and cut off the truth side as negative, nihilistic, space, not prosperous. Instead pull you into the something available, and materiality start creating productive new thinking, and ultimately you get engaged. And this volitional activities, this kind of will, using of the will, called sankhara. So when you understand it and you see you are completely working, of course you are working, you are very efficient in that sense, but sorry enough, you are working to someone's agenda, never to your own agenda. Therefore you are utter slave. You are utter beggar or a servant of the defilements. And they have already pre-planned agenda. You very obediently follow the agenda. So Buddha is showing a mirror to say yourself, why you are so much in a rush? Why this hectic life? That is to feel I am a one-upmanship, I am better than others, and I have a blind share and the big share, and my soul is everlasting. So therefore you justify everything what you do, but ultimately what happens is each and every moment you get infiltrated with frustration. Each and every moment you will get infiltrated with tension, torturing, burning, thinking tomorrow will be good. So therefore you are trying to live. You are living in a dream. In future or past, never in the present. So each and every crafty things in the volition is to make you eccentric, not to be here and now. So when and where you try to see your own creativity or your own brainchild, and to see how much when you are thinking and when you are creative, not in the present, it is the most, it is the best comedy in the life. Understanding your own jokes, how you justify your own busyness, and we call business. Business is nothing but busyness, and each and every busyness is going to give so and so much so profit. So you day and night you are working, and ultimately you find each and every moment you are losing the balance, the equilibrium, the omnipotent, the equilibrium and the equanimity, and end up with tension. And how these feeling, perception and the volition going to work with the misguided consciousness. So you to see your own mechanism is what it is called insight meditation. So moment you going to see that even though you earn boundless space, how much you feel uneasy to be there, how much you want to catch beyond that, and asking what is the next. And when it happens, so naturally you are no more to entertain that very relaxation there, space there. So you may understand one day consciousness may never allow you to rest. So you will understand the Vijnana Chayatana in the Samatha terms, how the mind is working. Moment you come to know, you will understand, even though mind is trying its own best way to find frustration or tension, your best way to do away with is just disclaimer. Just disavow. Whatever it happen, you must recite, this is not me, this is not mine, this is not my soul. When and where you see they are just mere perception, what is arising is not the ceasing, it is changing within that. So how can that perception be mine? How can it be belongs to me, or how can it be soul? So therefore understand this as perception, game of the perception, and try to disavow netammama nameso atta, netammama neto hamasmi nameso atta. This is not me, not mine, not myself. And whenever you confront the perception with this kind of attitude, your mind slowly with your own under the nose experience gain still further relaxation, still further space, by learning not only the Akasananchayatana but the Vijnananchayatana, the tactics of the mind. And then Akinchanyayatana, there you find the boundlessness, the deep layers, and very difficult to communicate with these rational people. They measure everything with the matter, they everything with something measurable, but now you earn this for people, those who are searching matter, this already earned thing will appear like bored, monotonous, fearful, uncertain, very slimy, and sleepy. But the way what you do is, that very boredom, that very slimy nature, the very monotonous nature, very uncertain, you put under the term of solitude. Now I am more and more in solitude. Now I am more and more in freedom. Now I am more and more in the peace of mind. And that is what the contentment. Now you are in the very well anchored in the present moment. And you know this, the freedom, the space, inalienable and unalloyed. It need no anything extra. By itself it is complete. You feel this kind of a relaxation, this kind of a healing, this kind of a lack of tension, never you experience. But at the beginning it appears like sleepiness, but when you awaken into slowly, you find in an enormous space, you are also part and partial, but there is no boundary to say this is me and this is not me. And even though it is difficult to communicate, that very moment, the amount of peace, amount of boundless situation, you can't deny it is under your very nose, you can experience it. And there you find the art is his main thing is not to worry. Each and every worry is nothing but a perception. But if you know it is a perception, it is impermanent, it is leading to suffering, it is soullessness, main thing is not to worry. When you are practicing, you know now my mind is not at the space level or akasananchayatan level or boundless space level. Not only that I know how the mind is, how the consciousness is going to take the mean advantage of it, you know the circuit of it, and being so, you let the nature, the phenomena to run as it is in an unreactional way, in an unassuming way. So therefore you are like a person sitting by the river on the bank in a dry area. You observe the floating river, you never fork your fingers or put your leg. Moment you put there, the unturbulent river will start turbulence. And you start get wet. So therefore you know, you thoroughly observe it, but never get wet. So this is how the phenomena become complete, assuring the complete mindfulness, and you know now how not to get turbulence, not to get friction, not to get frustration. So this art, when someone is asking now what to do, the advice must be try not to do anything. This is the only answer. But no one will be happy. They will think it is misleading. The Buddha and everyone says this meditation is a hard task. So there may be some sweating in meditation. There should have a grinning your teeth in the meditation. All the kind of thing you expect. Of course, yes, at the beginning, sweating and grinning your teeth and fighting. But ultimately when you learn the art, just like putting the plane into the autopiloting, you understand total mindfulness, but no physical deeds, no verbal deeds, no mental deeds, nothing. So this is the well equilibrium you find it. But even then, the maintenance appear like quite artificial in this tense world. In this world we are fighting each other. So therefore, the Buddha says, even when you go to this Akinchanyayatana, you feel it is something to be maintained, because your each and every cell in your body and each and every thought moment in your mentality, even though you earn it, find kind of a imbalance, find kind of a unnatural nature. So therefore, still when you go further, when you understand this situation and familiarize, you allow little bit of perception to come in, but you know they are not belongs to you, and sometimes you feel no perception, so you develop a kind of attitude whether perception available or not, both are with the same weight. So that is what we call unshaken mind. That is what you call middle path. So when and where, if you are successful with that kind of training or that kind of mental training, ultimately you have to put that into verbal training, you have to put that into physical training or body, and that is how once you get the correct perspective, samma ditthi, proper perspective, your thinking, samma sankappa, will be reshuffled, and verily you can say you are born again. Not the born again Christian, but born again to the same situation. Now you try to see the world, work with the world in a complete different perspective. Definitely you know others will find you as strange, and your very hobbies, your very liking and disliking will laugh at you. And your memory will laugh at you, what is happening. And that is how Samma Sankappa, earlier your idea was Miccha Sankappa, hatred and desire for sensuous desire and getting rid of all the enemies. But instead now you understand Nekkhamma Sankappa, the renunciation, and never hate even a matter, even non-living things. You never consider anyone for and against, or friend and enemy. You find everyone doing the same thing because of the ignorance. Therefore they desire, but now I try my best to consider the both of the same. So you feel like very neutral. You feel like very equipoised. So with that kind of Sammaditthi and Samma Sankappa, if you are going to talk Samma Vacha, you will never be an interested person. Whatever you are talking appear like just drinking water, no taste, no shape, no smell. It's very pure, but you can't sell it because shapeless, colorless, tasteless. So, under being so, when the truth is becoming so diluted, and while people are concerned this is something wrong, like they imagine how much of compassion the Buddha had to communicate it with another commoner, another normal sensuous being. And what are the kind of words, what are the kind of the way presentation of the word he used, and that message which is talking about renunciation, which is talking about the endless love to the living and non-living beings, and not to consider anyone as enemy. This kind of message is called negative message, and Pali is the only language can give a negative message in a fulfilled way. When you put it to Sanskrit, Sanskrit is a positive language. English is a positive language. So when you are going to talk a negative message in a positive language, it is miscommunication happen. Indian thinkers, they say this is what happened to the Jesus Christ. He learned partly on this message from the Asia, and he went back to the country where people are talking in the positive language. He carried the negative message in the positive language, so misunderstood. His very fellow beings put him into the cross. When the Pilate is asking, tomorrow is a Sabbath day, so two robbers are there, one thing is, two criminals are there, one thing is Jesus, the other one is another robber. which one to be released? I have my powers as the governor. Then everyone says the robber must be released, this fellow must be killed, this fellow must be crucified. He is talking nonsense. He is talking nonsense. So that is why the word, you have to understand when you are talking about this kind of thing, better to keep the doors closed. Don't let any people to come and listen it, because definitely is more chances are there to misunderstand. It is not a joke. You understand, unless otherwise, if the Jesus to live in 80 years, what a kind of exemplified life he would have lived. But at the age 32, it's just maturing. You killed him. What happened to the Socrates? Ask them to drink the poison. They know he is the most genius person. But that is the law. That is the by law. And each and every genuine person in the world being killed. And we are so brutal. Human civilization is so brutal. It is only allowing people, those who are professing about the prosperity through materiality. Then it is prolific. You get universities, you get audience, you get all the channels, you get all the television, radio, paper, anything. But when and where you are going to say materiality is good, but there may be any truth there, maybe it is not leading to benefit, the well-being of the being. What about little bit of the space, limitless space? You will be crucified, given a cup of poison, telling you are lunatic, going against the grain, and that is how, at the beginning, you have your own internal reaction, but even though if you go through it, whenever you are using the Samma Vacha and normal gossiping, you have enough space for gossiping. But when and where you are going to say the benevolent words, more chances to get misunderstood. And Samma Kammanta, whenever you are going to do something according to this celibate life, or monastic life, or forest life, people will consider that you are going against the grain. So, I am born into a family with 11 members. I am the person go to the highest education in my family, even though I was an idiot. Because I joke with the education. I don't take any serious. So ultimately I went to the postgraduate. So everyone accused me telling I am a Kalakanya. After all the education, living a forest life, you would have gone to the department and do some work to the nation, because the government gave you free education. So I told that you all definitely have the rights to accuse me. This is my own blood. This is my own sisters and brothers. This is, I am a Kalakanya, that's a wastage of national money, education system, and you are very selfish, living in a forest and not giving your input to the nation. So, having such sisters and brothers is a blessing, because no one from the outside come and find fault with me, because my own people are telling me like that. So I felt definitely my path is correct. That sign itself says no one appreciate, that means I am correct. If second person come and appreciate, mind you, you are completely wrong. If someone going to come and say, now you are correct and you must be get this degree and this honorary and this thanking and kind of thing, definitely it is satanic, Maravesa. When and where you are like a rhinoceros horn, there's no second one and only unique, that is the way life is. So that is individually you have to decide. When you are walking in a rope, tightrope walking, you can carry the family members with your tightrope walking. Sorry. Even you find difficult to balance. And when you are swimming in a very challenging water current, you can't take your beloved wife together with the current. They have to take their own effort. So that is how, whenever you have correct perspective towards a view and a correct thinking, you find your deeds. You have to rethink every time. Whatever you do, you can't appreciate what is happening in the world, and whatever you do must be exemplified to your view as well as your thinking. So Samma Kammanta is a hell of a task. You feel like born again. You can start completely like a bird, got the new wings. It can jump into the space and fly wherever you like. And the livelihood, so far you had the livelihood to get more and more materialistic gain. Now your livelihood must be completely oriented upon the solitude, upon the freedom, upon the peace of mind, upon the contentment. So therefore you have to adopt into utilities rather than luxuries. Adopt into never to consumerization, just for the basic needs. And they are the simple livelihood. And when the word, deeds and the livelihood come align with this kind of a new thinking and new mindset, you find you are ever energetic, never lethargic. All the time it is like a burning candle. You feel kind of energy, never you get from any chemical or any exercise or any kind of thing. It is, the energy is there. That is the proximate factor for the continuity of the mindfulness. Without that, whenever you get freedom and the space, you become lethargic and falling into sleep because not enough energy. But once the verbal, physical and the livelihood being aligned, the energy flow is unhindered, and therefore the mindfulness is none of your business. Mindfulness take its own care. And only you have to ask, what are the troubles that can disturb your mindfulness? Not a single trouble. Even your mother died, even your child died, even your house engulfed fire, and the tsunami comes, who cares? Because each and everyone is promoting mindfulness, boosting mindfulness. So you find, at the beginning you find what is the best posture to develop mindfulness, what is the best object of meditation to develop mindfulness, you find. But ultimately you come to the point, you can ask, what the hell can mindfulness, my mindfulness of course can disturb. Because the mindfulness gathers the momentum, and then the concentration is nothing but mere outcome of this mindfulness. You must not crave for, you must not forego and beg for the concentration. As far as the causative factors are there, the results are there. Before that you are very opportunist. Without fulfilling causes, you pray, you expect a good concentration in the early morning, but I am very sorry it is bad at the sunset. And good concentration in this time and that time, this food and that food, that is because you are not mindful. When the mindfulness comes in consistence, the concentration is outcome. So therefore your reinterpretation of the Noble Eightfold Path, it is coming with your own experience. So each and every mistake, each and every lacking thing is giving so much of new Dhamma or new understanding of the phenomena. So you are also ready to absorb anything happen, and you are also not disturbing any natural flow. So therefore the frictionless path or the comfort area, it's appear very proximate. So that is how more and more you go into these subtleties, very difficult to give a linear relationship. Only thing you have to say is maximize it, don't question it. Questioning is something negative. It is you are undermining your own freedom. So therefore questioning nature is a defilement. It's an unsettlement. It is a disturbance you are creating. So therefore when and where the question happens, just see the base, what you are going to maximize. I am not discouraging questioning. I am asking you to see the base, see the cause from where the question happens. The question happens through this opportunist thinking pattern. If you are ready to fulfill all the requirements, no question. Answer also complete, inalienable and unalloyed answer happen. So therefore each and every mistake, even if with questioning may be, with doubts may be, each and every effort is slowly leading to, with this profundity in subtlety. And when and where you see the truth, never you find in the place where you searched. Never. Never you find in the proportion what you expected. Never from the person you expected. So it is always accident, impromptu. So therefore your truth is earned by yourself, not by Buddha, not assured by Dhamma, not assured by the others, but you have to earn it, you have to assimilate by yourself. So it is very intrinsic. And whenever you are having any compassion or sharing with others, of course we take the teaching of the Buddha as the theme, but you can talk with your own experience. They are always not positive. They are definitely full of mistakes. But you have no shame, because you know other people also really understand with this original direct touch, and that these examples are titillating the subsurface mind, not the superficial mind with the rationality. They are like aesthetic. So more and more you share, more and more compassionate to others, you find you appreciate the amount of compassion the Buddha had, amount of wisdom the Buddha had, and we being so delayed, and even then when we are sharing, we feel kind of a friendship, we feel kind of a membership in a family, Dhamma family. I think that is more than our blood relationship. So therefore, wherever we go, it is not necessary to be in a proximate under one roof. But as far as you be mindful and practice this descending on to the voidness, or abiding by voidness, this kind of a gathering, this kind of a friendship, this kind of a membership is going to earn, and that membership, that feeling is beyond the time and space. But when moment you become unmindful, your membership will be cancelled. The mindfulness is the membership or payment you are doing. So wherever you live, whatever you do, if you are mindful, you become part and parcel of the big family, Dhamma family, and you are also bound to understand the nuances in the subtleties. And therefore, even though maybe you have not gone to the very deep layers, never mind. Day by day, if you are increasing or improving, that is what we can do the maximum. Hope today's talk also helpful for you to assimilate more subtleties towards the abiding by voidness. Thank you very much for listening.